Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Steve, and today we're talking about Citizen. And we're not talking about the Tsuyosa. I actually sold that watch off. I bought it, wore it like 4 times, and then just sold it because it didn't have a place in my collection. I guess I can do a review of the Tsuyosa since I have you guys here. Looks great. I love the way it looks on the wrist. It wears nice. It's very affordable. And the biggest downside, and actually the reason why I sold it, the crown is so hard to manipulate. I don't wear the same watch every single day, so in order for me to wear this watch, keep an accurate time, I would have to manually wind it. And with it being at the 4 o'clock and with it being recessed into the case, it just took forever for me to wind this watch up. Now, I could have just shook it back and forth, but I like to manually wind my watches. And even adjusting the time and the date through the crown, it just wasn't an enjoyable experience. When you wear a watch, you're going to be manipulating 2 things pretty much all of the time. That's the clasp and the crown. And since the crown was such a pain to manipulate, I decided to sell it and have someone else understand my pain. So there's my quick review of the Tsuyosa, but today we're actually talking about the Citizen Grand Touring from the Citizen Signature Collection. Yeah, I didn't know they actually had a Signature Collection. I guess you could probably equate this to a King Seiko, possibly. But before we get the review started, please hit the like and subscribe button down below. It really does help the channel. All right, let's go ahead, roll the intro, and get started with the video. When you initially look at this watch, you can tell exactly where they got their inspiration from. It is half Panerai, half Rolex Explorer. We have a 44 millimeter case diameter, 48.8 millimeters if you include the crown guards, a lug-to-lug of 48.5 millimeters, but since there are male end links, the effective lug-to-lug is 53 millimeters. It is 14.2 millimeters thick with a 23 millimeter lug width. The bracelet tapers from 23 millimeters down to 20 millimeters at the clasp. The crystal is a domed piece of sapphire with AR coating. Powering this watch is the Miyota 9012, which is currently running at +8 seconds per day, and the watch size to my wrist weighs in at 178 grams. I can't remember where I saw this watch for the first time, but when I did see it, I knew I had to add it to the collection. It's basically the love child of a Panerai and an Explorer, and I figured, hey, Citizen's a great brand. This is their signature collection. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger. So I scoured the internet trying to find one, and I found this on eBay. Finding this watch in good condition is very difficult, and when I did find it on eBay, I decided to pull the trigger immediately, and I've been very happy with my purchase ever since. So taking a closer look at the Grand Touring, we could see a glossy black dial with steel indices all the way around. We have an applied metal Citizen logo at the top, automatic and water resistant of 200 at the bottom printed on. Applied indices all the way around the dial. The 12, 3, 6, and 9 really remind me of an Explorer and Panerai hybrid, like I said before. The indices are actually very unique with this groove that runs through all of them, which adds a bit of depth and contrasting between polished and brushed surfaces. We have broad sword hands that are split down the middle. The second hand looks to be designed after an arrow, so we have a tip on the second hand. The counterbalance is the fletching of an arrow, which is pretty unique. I don't think I've ever seen that before either. Overall, I do like the way these hands are designed. At the 3 o'clock, there is a stepped border that displays the color-matched date wheel. Now, these crown guards don't operate like a Panerai. It's just a simple push-pull crown. It doesn't really lock anything down. It's just there for display. Moving down to the bracelet, you can see that there is a slight 3 millimeter taper down to the clasp. Now the clasp is a disappointment. There is no micro adjustment and there's no diver's extension. So you're kind of SOL if you wanted to get that perfect fit. Now we do have full links and half links, so you'll be able to get it close, but to accommodate for your wrist swelling, you're probably gonna wanna wear this watch a little bit looser. And with it being a little bit bulkier, that kind of adds to the negative of not having a micro adjustment. Looking at the end links, we can see that there are no quick release spring bars and there's no drilled lugs. So removing the bracelet may be a little bit of a pain, especially if you want to switch it back and forth between having a leather strap and this bracelet. We have an exhibition case back, which is held down by 4 screws. And inside you can see the Miyota 9012. Now the finishing of this Miyota is actually pretty nice. We have striping, we have a custom rotor with the Citizen Eagle logo. It's actually one of the better looking Miyota movements I've seen. And even though I like this watch, it does come with a lot of flaws, a lot of big flaws, really, with the first flaw being that clasp, and it's just very basic. There's no micro adjustment. There's no diver's extension. Yes, it's finished nice and it operates well, but aside from that, there's nothing really to it. I would like to have seen 3 points of micro adjustment at least, just to, give you some flexibility when sizing this beast. Now, if you want to wear this watch on a leather strap and really give you that Panerai vibe, then great. Then you're not going to have an issue with the clasp. But when I went to go put the bracelet back on, it was the most difficult process I think I've ever had. This actually took me a while to figure out, but on the end link, there is actually a screwed connection there. And I think they put that there so you can easily manipulate the end link without having to manipulate the rest of the bracelet, and placing the end link in the proper angle. That way you can slip in the 23 millimeter spring bars. I'm telling you, it's a big pain in the butt. I would not recommend taking it off the bracelet, or if you are going to take it off the bracelet and keep it on a leather strap, always have it on the leather strap. But that is one big thing I had with the bracelet. And after you have it strapped to your wrist, therein lies the next issue, and that's the domed piece of sapphire crystal. The biggest issue I have with the crystal is the distortion, and it's not apparent when you're looking top down on the watch, but the second it's a little bit askew, there is a heavy amount of distortion, so you can't even look at the time at a glance. You can't even guesstimate the time if you're looking at this watch from a obscure angle. It just completely distorts it, and you can't see the dial whatsoever. Some people may like that, some people may not. I am in the may not camp. And my last con is going to be the amount of lume on this dial. And while I love the indices and the hands, you only have 8 strips of lume, and it's very faint. So this is not going to hold up to your Seikos at all. If you're into lume, this is not the watch for you. But let's go ahead and talk about the pros, and we'll stay on that dial. Those indices look gorgeous. I don't know what more to say. The entire dial of this watch looks amazing. I love the balance of this watch, even though it does have a 3 o'clock date window. It does blend in, especially next to that big, bold 3. You kind of forget that the date window is there. The next pro is just the complexity of the watch finishing itself. There are chamfered edges everywhere, from the cushion case to the indices, down to the bracelet. The bracelet has a chamfered edge and a rounded edge. There's polished strips on the center links. It is very well finished, and it actually rivals some of my luxury watches like my Seamaster. Regardless of the quality of the finishing, the design is also just as nice. So if you wanted to get a look of a Panerai that has its own unique flair, you still can get it with this Citizen. And even though the lack of micro adjustments on the bracelet was a downside, overall it feels really good on the wrist. The screws on the links make adjusting the bracelet a breeze. And like I said, it just feels very comfortable on your wrist whenever you do have it sized properly. And the thing that surprised me the most is actually the movement. Manipulating the crown, adjusting the time and the date, winding the watch. It's smooth. It's smooth like butter, which surprises me because this actually winds and sets better than my Tudor does. And with it being at plus 8 seconds a day, I really can't complain about the movement at all. So there it is, the Citizen Grand Touring. Let me know in the comment section down below what was your favorite part about this watch, or what you didn't like about this watch. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button down below. It really does help the channel. And for your next video, I don't know, go ahead and watch my Christopher Ward Belcanto unboxing. It's a good one, for sure. Click it right here. Love Christopher Ward. Click it. Click it. Now. Click it. Click it. Please click. Go. And go.